absolute value inequalities. So quick refresher. Remember from our equations, when we have the absolute value of x is equal to 4, what does that look like as a graph? Where do I put my center dot? At what number? 0. Why is it 0, Hayden?
There's nothing happening to the x.
Right, there's nothing happening to the x inside. Graham, that's enough. There's nothing happening to the x inside, so we started at 0. And I'm going to move how many units to the right?
4.
4, because I need to move the distance of 4, which will put me at positive 4. Put a dot. Then I'm going to move to the left 4 units, which would put me at negative 4. Put a dot. So my two solutions are negative 4 and 4. Right? So that is equals. Well, what happens if I change it to a different inequality? Let's go less than. So if I do the absolute value of x is less than or equal to 4. Actually, here, I'll move over to the left so people in the back can see it. The absolute value of x is less than or equal to 4. What would that look like on a number line? Would I still be centered at 0? Yes. I'm still going to move to the right 4 units, which puts me at positive 4. I'm still going to move to the left 4 units, which puts me at negative 4. Now, if I want all numbers that have a distance less than or equal to 4, where would those numbers happen? Between negative 4 and 4 or on the outside of negative 4 and 4? If I want to be less than 4 units away from 0. So, for example, is 1 less than 4 units away from 0?
Yeah.
Is 2 less than 4 units away from 0?
Yeah.
Is 3?
Yeah.
Is 4?
Yeah.
Well, it's equal to, but we have equal to sign, so we're good there. Is negative 1 less than 4 units? Yes. Is negative 5 less than 4 units? No, it's more than. So I need less than. So this is going to be everything in between. I'm going to use parentheses or square brackets. Square brackets. Good. So if I had to put that in interval notation, what would that look like? Square bracket, negative 4, comma, 4, square bracket. Now let's flip the sign. Let's do the absolute value of x is greater than or equal to 4. Am I still going to be centered at 4? Or 0, I mean. Yes. So still centered at 0. I'm going to go to the right 4, to the left 4. So now I need the distance of my number to be more than 4 units. So is 1 more than 4 units away from 0? No. Is 5 more than 4 units?
Yeah.
Yes. So it's going to be everything to the right of 4. So I'm going to do a square bracket facing the right. Shade everything to the right. Then we have to do it to the negative side. So I'm going to do a square bracket at negative 4, shading to the left. So how do I do that in interval notation? Negative infinity to negative 4, square bracket, union, square bracket, positive 4 to positive infinity. Okay? So, this is how I like to remember it. If you want to put a little star underneath these guys, when you have a less than, I like to think of it as less than, and know that it's going to be an and compound inequality. An and compound inequalities is everything in between. Okay? Over on this side, put a little star. When we have, if I could spell, greater, think of it as greater. And those would be the or inequalities, which is everything on the outside. So if you're less than, it's an and compound inequality. If you're greater, it's a or compound inequality. So you're going to hear me emphasize those words when we go through and do these practice problems. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some actual solving without actually having to graph. So here we have the absolute value of x plus 3 is less than 12. So less than means this is going to be an and compound inequality, which means it's going to be a parenthesis to a parenthesis. Now, if we want to solve it visually by graphing, where would I start my center at? Not positive 3. Negative 3. Remember, it's always opposite. And I would move how many units to the right? 12 units to the right, which would put me at what number?
Around 15.
Try it's negative 3.
Oh, shoot, 9.
Yeah, so it would put us at 9.
Good going, Graham. Real smart.
And then 12 to the left would put us at negative 15.
This try was my fault.
So since it's an and, I know I'm going to be between two things. Why did I put parentheses and not square brackets? Because there's no equals to. So that means all my numbers between negative 15 and 9 would be my solutions. So my answer in interval notation would be parenthesis, negative 15 up to 9 parentheses. That's how we solve it graphically, which we have solved equations graphically, but then we learned a trick to solve them algebraically. Are we ready to do it algebraically?
Yeah.
The same problem.
Yeah.
Can I erase this? Is everybody okay? All right, so now let's solve it algebraically. All right, so what did we do algebraically when solving absolute value?
What are we doing?
What did we do when we were solving absolute value equations in our practice spaces? We would do a positive version and we would do a negative version. Any guesses on what you think the positive version would be?
This.
That. No,
It would just
not
be x plus 3 is less than 12.
Why would it just be that?
Because you just eliminate the absolute values.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Crowley. I understand that now.
How do we solve that? Subtract 3.
Subtract 3.
So then we get x is less than 9.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, this is the tricky part that you will mess up on, so don't mess up on it. If I wanted to make the negative version of it,
Why the negative version if we're doing the positive version?
well, because we have to do the right and the left movement,
Already did the positive, Graham. It's right there.
right? So I'm going to do x plus 3, and then what did we do to the 12 when we were doing equations?
Minus 3.
We made it a negative 12.
Well, we minus 3 to make
Well,
it
yeah,
that.
but remember, if that was an equal sign, we would do positive 12, negative 12. Now, here's where you will mess up, so don't let it be you who messes up. Because I made this a negative, and because I'm in inequality world, what do I have to do with the inequality sign? We are going to have to flip it. So you need to flip it
Hold on, Miss Crowley. I'm not done writing.
when doing the negative.
Miss Crowley, I'm not done writing.
Because now when I subtract 3 from both sides, we get that negative 15. So x is greater than negative 15. Which number is smaller, the negative 15 or the 9? The negative 15. So if I threw that on my graph, I would put negative 15 on the left. I would put 9 on the right. I need x to be larger than negative 15, which means my shading would go to the right.
I think.
I need x to be
is this
smaller
right?
than 9.
Okay.
I need x to be smaller than 9, which means I would be moving to the left, so it would be everything in between. So it's negative 15 up to 9.
That honestly makes sense.
So this is an and
I think this makes sense.
compound inequality because it was less than.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm going to do it algebra. Well, let's do one more. So I thought you meant was that it for the problem. We're going to do one more example together. It's 8 minutes. I am not going to be solving them graphically anymore. I'm just going to do it algebraically. If you love graphing them and just jumping to it, feel free to do that. All right, let's go to a hard one right away. Why not? 7 times the absolute value of x plus 3 plus 5 is greater than or equal to 12.
And not that hard.
So we have a greater, which means this is going to be an or inequality, which means I'm probably going to be doing negative infinity to some number, square bracket or parenthesis,
Square.
union, square bracket of something to positive infinity, right? That's what my final answer is going to look like because it's an or.
Sure.
Okay, so now let's actually solve it out. So I got to get the absolute value all by itself. First, subtract your 5
5.
from both sides. So we get 7 times the absolute value of x plus 3 is greater than or equal to, oh, that's nice, 7. What's your next move?
Divide 7.
Good. So then we get the absolute value of x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 1. So my positive case is x plus 3 is greater than or equal to 1. And then, Graham, what's going to be the negative case? Don't make the mistake that I don't want you to make. What would it be?
Less than or equal to -1.
Perfect. Good job. So x plus 3 is less than or equal to -1. He remembered to flip his sign when we did the negative case. So now we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So x is greater than or equal to -2. Subtract 3 over here. X is less than or equal to -4. Sorry, I'm getting a tickle in my throat. What's smaller, -4 or -2?
-4 or -2? -2 would be small.
-4 is smaller than -2.
Wait, why? 4 is oh, because it's negative.
It's negatives.
Over.
Square bracket or parenthesis at -4. Square bracket. Shading to the left or to the right.
Left.
Square bracket at -2. Right or left?
Right.
Right. So now let's put it into interval notation. It's going to be what? Negative infinity to -4, square bracket. Union, square bracket. -2 to infinity. Okay?
Why do you gotta make it so hard, man?
Not so hard. Questions?
Yeah.